Okay, so this is a fantastic occasion. It's the Australian Academy of Science celebration of science, of Australian science, and in particular of the amazing work done by our Australian scientists, innovators, our educators, our Indigenous science people, our teachers. So we're here to celebrate the Australian Web of Science, which, as we know, starts from the very earliest ages, our children going through primary, secondary, and then flowing up through STEM careers in academia, in industry, our educators. We're here today to celebrate those. So good morning, everyone, and welcome. Let me say who I am. I'm Professor Susan Scott. I'm an Academy Fellow, and I was a recipient of the Prime Minister's Prize for Science in 2020. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to the Shine Dome this morning. To begin with, I want to acknowledge and pay respect to the Ngunnawal people, the traditional owners of the lands on which the Shine Dome is located. The Australian Academy of Science acknowledges and pays respect to the traditional owners of all the lands on which the Academy operates and where its fellows and employees live and work. The Academy recognises Australia's Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as the first innovators and scientists of this land and honour their enduring connection to country from which we are committed to learn. We pay our respects to and recognise the cultural authority of their elders, past and present. I warmly welcome all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who join us this morning. Well, it's wonderful to be here with you all to celebrate the 2025 recipients of the Prime Minister's Prizes for Science. I do ask you to place your phones on silent if you haven't already done so. But I certainly encourage you to take photos and celebrate the award recipients on social media. And the hashtag this morning is hashtag PM Prizes Breakfast. This breakfast is a special annual event that the Academy is proud to hold each year to celebrate remarkable and distinguished Australian scientists. Since the award's inception, many fellows of this Academy have been the recipients of Australia's most prestigious awards for achievements in scientific research, research-based innovation and science teaching. And I am very proud to be one of those recipients. It is 5 years on from when I was here doing my Prime Minister's Prize for Science celebrations over these couple of days. So what an honour it was, and what an honour to be here today to celebrate those who continue to inspire us and undertake remarkable science to improve our world. There's many of you here today. I offer a very warm welcome to, firstly, all the prize recipients, to the Senator, the Honourable Tim Ayres, Minister for Science and Ministry for Industry and Innovation, Members of Parliament, Mr Zee Sun, Member for Banks, Mr Luke Gosling, and Federal Member for Solomon, and the Honourable Dr Parwinder Kaur, Member of the Western Australian Legislative Council. All other MPs and Senators in attendance, Chief Scientist of Australia, Professor Tony Haymet, colleagues from across the Department of Industry, Science and Resources, Presidents and CEOs of Australia's learned academies, Fellows of the Australian Academy of Science and other learned academies, representatives from peak bodies and industry, representatives from the Science and Maths Teachers Associations and the ACT Education Directorate, ENCRs, very importantly, staff of the Academy, friends and colleagues from across the research and innovation enterprise, and last and certainly not least, our audience joining us online. So welcome to you all. On behalf of the Academy, I would like to offer thanks to the Department of Industry, Science and Resources for their very hard work to bring together a wonderful evening last night and for their support of our breakfast today. And I think many of you were there last night, and it was truly a wonderful and exciting event for all concerned. Australian scientists are leading so many important conversations across our communities, and it's a privilege to be able to recognise their contributions here this morning. Now, please join me in welcoming to the podium a person who continues to personally inspire me, certainly, internationally recognised expert in semiconductors and nanotechnology, and the President, of course, of the Australian Academy of Science, Professor Chennupati Jagadish.
Thank you, Susan. And I also would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet, Nanwal people, and I pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. And I also acknowledge all the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, those who are joining us this morning as well. Good morning. Dzień dobry. Namaste. Yamalundi. Bonjour. Ni hao. And welcome to the Australian Academy of Science. And I've only chosen the languages of our prize winners. And we're delighted to host you here today. A special welcome to the Senator, the Honourable Tim Ayres, the Minister for Industry and Innovation and Minister for Science. It is always wonderful to host you at the home of the Australian Science Minister. It is great to see our parliamentary representatives and our many distinguished guests from the research and innovation sector here this morning. I also would like to acknowledge my good friend, Professor Tony Hammett, and the Chief Scientist of Australia as well. Congratulations to all the recipients of the Prime Minister's Prizes for Science on this prestigious and much-deserved recognition. The work you do to advance science in Australia makes an invaluable contribution to our nation. Susan mentioned that many fellows of this academy have been the recipients of the Prime Minister's prizes, including herself. Indeed, Academy Fellows have taken out the Prime Minister's Prize for Science each year since the award's inception 26 years ago. Some of you may recall who the inaugural joint recipient of the Prime Minister's Prize for Science was in 2000. That was former Academy President, former Chief Scientist of Australia, Dr. Jim Peacock, who sadly passed away last month. Jim will be deeply missed and remembered as a champion of Australian science. He was dedicated to Australian science and the Academy right to the end, making a big effort to attend our annual Science at the Shrine Dome even just 8 weeks ago. We'll be holding a memorial for Jim in the coming weeks. I was delighted that his contribution was acknowledged by the Prime Minister last night at the Prime Minister's Prizes for Science award evening in the Great Hall, along with Minister Ayres also has acknowledged Jim's contributions to Australian science. Before I invite Senator Ayres to the lectern, I'd like to share a few words about distinguished Professor Lydia Moroska. Lydia is a force of nature, persuasive and persistent when it comes to bring evidence to decision makers. As a global authority on airborne particles, Lydia has made an extraordinary contribution to our understanding of airborne transmission. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit our shores, it was Lydia's decades of work that eventually enlightened the path, enabling ministers and public health authorities to respond with greater confidence. But the road was not always easy or direct. In the early months of 2020, Professor Moroska led a large group of international experts to warn authorities about airborne transmission, noting that wearing masks was necessary given the way SARS-CoV-2 travel in the air. Till that point, we have been focusing on only cleaning the surfaces. We have not focused on the airborne transmission of the viruses. It her persuasion and persistence that led the World Health Organization to accept the evidence of airborne transmission. Lydia was nominated one of Time magazine's most influential people of 2021. You know you have made a big impact when recognition for your work goes mainstream in this way. More recently, Lydia was one of 22 global authorities who spoke at the UN headquarters in New York during the United Nations General Assembly, advocating for measures in favor of clean indoor air. Lydia is also the lead expert for a new report the Academy will be launching on Thursday this week at Parliament House. The report provides the latest scientific evidence on indoor air and explores the policy pathways to improve indoor air quality in Australia. Hard-fought measures of decades mean that today we can all have confidence that the food we eat and the water we drink is safe. And we monitor and regulate outdoor air too, but we do not measure or monitor indoor air where we spend 90% of our time. The Academy considers this a gaping hole in our public health framework and a tremendous opportunity to improve overall health and productivity and reduce absenteeism. The good news is the science of indoor air is well understood and the technological solutions exist. Lydia, the recognition for your work is richly deserved, and we are thrilled to see you acknowledged this way. We are just as thrilled for the other outstanding winners of the 2025 PM's prizes. Congratulations, Vikram, Michael, and Nikhilesh, David, and I'll try to remember all the names. And so the Matthew, and of course Claire, and Paula, that's right, Paula, sorry, not Paul, Paula, and Stuart, and whom did I miss? I hope I have not missed everyone. Of course, Yao Cheng, of course, Yao Cheng, that's good. Who loves Australia and then he's grateful for the wonderful opportunities Australia has provided to him. You're all the beacons of excellence in your field and remind us time and time again what we can achieve when we invest in science and innovation in Australia. Yesterday evening in the Great Hall of Parliament House, something very special happened. The Prime Minister awarded Malagana man, Professor Michael Weir, the inaugural Prime Minister's Prize for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Knowledge Systems. Michael found a tidal moon, Australia's first Indigenous-owned and led sea cucumber fishery and marine restoration enterprise. In accepting the award, Michael said, "When merit meets opportunity, good things happen." He's right. We have much to learn from each other. We are strongest when we work together and when we recognize and bring to bear all sources of knowledge to improve our lives and environment. And this year, the enduring value of Indigenous knowledge was recognized by the highest office holder of the land, the Prime Minister, at the collective meeting place of our nation, Australian Parliament House. It was hard not to feel emotional at this significant step forward. Congratulations, Michael, and thank you to everyone who made this milestone a reality, including, I understand, Chief Scientist has played a very important role to make this happen. I conclude my remarks today by offering my personal thanks and congratulations to the recipient of the Prime Minister's Prize for Excellence in Science Teaching in primary schools, Mrs. Paula Taylor, and to the Prime Minister's Prize for Excellence in Science Teaching in secondary schools, Mr. Matthew Dodds. I said it last year, I'll say it again, and I imagine I'll repeat it every year. Teachers change lives. I am living proof of that. I'll be forever grateful for my late maths teacher, Sri Chaganti Sambireddy, who saw the potential in me while I was attending school in India. In my village, there was no high school, and the nearby high school is about 3 miles away, and none of my relatives wanted to host me to be able to finish my high school. My maths teacher said, "Why didn't you ask him to stay with us?" So I lived with my maths teacher for 3 years. Without that maths teacher's help, I'll be plowing the fields in India today along with my cousins. So that is the impact teachers can make in people's lives. Not just they deliver education, they can impact people in a profound way, and many of you have experienced and have stories to tell about the teachers, those who inspired you. They are early role models of our scientists and innovators. We owe teachers a debt of gratitude. And I wish to personally thank every one of you, together with the school communities that support you. The Academy's primary science and maths education resources for teachers, primary connections, science connections, and resolve exemplify everything that our Academy stands for. They are rigorous, evidence-based, built on best practice, co-designed with teachers, and responsive to the modern-day classroom. It was Dr. Jim Paycock who initiated primary connections while he was Academy's president. He later reflected that this was one of his biggest contributions while Academy president. The Academy continues to meet the needs of teachers and to enable evidence-based science and maths education across the nation. It is our teachers that plant and nurture curiosity, exploration, and critical thinking. It is our teachers who have shaped the winners of all the Prime Minister's Science Prizes, the innovation team, the new innovators, the life scientists, and the physical scientists. It is our teachers who have gifted us scientists who will imagine, discover, and deliver jobs and industries that diversify our economy. Scientists who will generate knowledge, create new industries, and drive productivity. Scientists who will strengthen national security and find solutions to decarbonize our world as rapidly as possible. Scientists who will build a nation that is more self-reliant, confident, and able to navigate these uncertain times. And as scientists, when we go about these tasks, we know we must maintain the sacred contract we have with society. Everyday Australians whose jobs and livelihoods are impacted by our work. I will conclude my remarks here, and without further ado, please join me in welcoming Senator the Honourable Tim Ayres, the Minister for Industry and Innovation and Minister for Science.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Jagadish, and good morning to all of you. I, of course, want to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which this event happens and last night's event happened to the Ngunnawal people, and pay my respects to their elders, both past and present. As always, I have never been to a science event where Professor Jagadish has spoken where it's not been a really useful and thoughtful contribution, and it was that again this morning, so thank you. And I value very deeply the Academy of Science's public support for science, their private provocation and encouragement to do better. It's very important, a really important public contribution. I want to acknowledge the Chief Scientist, Professor Tony Haymet, the Chief Medical Officer, Professor Michael Kidd, Ray Johnson and Robin Williams, who have done so much to support Australians' public engagement with science. with the best and brightest in Australian science, but also making science real for people on the radio and people on the TV. My colleague, Dr. Andrew Charlton, the Assistant Minister for Science, Technology and the Digital Economy, all of those of you who are representing our peak bodies in the science and technology sector, thank you very much. This is, and Doug Hilton, I can see right up the back there, Chief Executive of the CSIRO, you haven't escaped my gaze. This is the first time I have been in this extraordinary building. They are right, these are beautiful chairs, very hard for a big bloke to get out of. And I look around this as somebody who, you know, shows how old and daggy I am. I love mid-century timber furniture, and look at all this. It's extraordinary. Imagine the sort of courage and vision of the people who decided that this would be a home for Australia's science and Australia's Academy of Science. What an extraordinary place. I will be back here, perhaps with a ute. You know, there's some beautiful desks out there, I'll tell you. But that vision, that sense of, you know, real patriotism, not sort of fake patriotism, real patriotism that involves building things for Australia, for our future, for future generations of students and scientists, scholars and leaders. That is something that this government really earnestly believes is our responsibility to do for the future. And it strikes me, our Future Made in Australia agenda, which is, you know, really focused upon building for future generations of Australians from our mineral resources and our competitive advantages for our future economic resilience, the capability to not just be a really strong mining country, but to make things here that position Australia and Australians for the future. Sometimes these challenges are posed as if they are just economic ones, about getting the business model right, about shaping the markets, about creating markets in areas like critical minerals and critical technologies. But of course, fundamentally, they are questions of science and getting the technological pathway right. And in some of these areas, it's not clear. And that effort, that national effort of science and research, that's what we must all be engaged in. And it was so wonderful last night, wasn't it, to be amongst, as the PM said at the beginning, you know, it's an intimidating room. So wonderful to have that group together to celebrate some extraordinary Australians themselves, but also really to elevate science and say we have something important here in this country. And I want to congratulate everybody who was involved in last night's effort, particularly my colleagues from the department who put in so much work to make that so successful. I met somebody in the lobby of the hotel later who was, I was in my jeans, they'd not changed out, very easily identifiable scientists last night in Canberra in their black ties and wonderful ball gowns. People still say ball gowns? I don't know, I'm from the country. And he had been on one of the panels that had been assessing applications. Thank you to all of those men and women too who've done it's an extraordinary effort on behalf of their community. It was a wonderful night. It was a really wonderful night. As I indicated before, you know, we have immense challenges as a country and as a globe, as a species in front of us. And science is what's going to help us chart the course for the future. So often in terms of crisis that we turn to people with that science capability. It's no accident, really, that last night's Prime Minister's Prize for Science was awarded to distinguished Professor Lydia Morovska. As Professor Jagadish said, you've got to work pretty hard to be on the Time magazine. It really an extraordinary contribution, Lydia, and I was so proud to sit with you last night and delivered like this deadly straight down the barrel of the camera speech. It was absolutely fantastic. That was an extraordinary speech, so thank you. This year, of course, is the International Year of Quantum, and that gives us an opportunity to celebrate Australia's particular role in quantum and the ongoing strength of our quantum industry. Dr. Sharma's work on cybersecurity and the translation of cutting-edge science and mathematics into advanced products and solutions will be crucial for Australia, but also means that we have something to contribute, project our economic and technological weight into a great set of questions that the world is engaging with you. And of course, last night, each prize had its own special significance. But it was a real privilege, wasn't it, to be in the room when Michael Weir was awarded that first ever prize for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander knowledge systems. Really was wonderful. I can't wait to get to Shark Bay and have a look at this show. I've talked, we talk quite a bit about this being Australia's first at-scale export. I've been to East Arnhem Land, and seen all of the art and culture that sits around this extraordinary, at least 600-year-old trade through Southeast Asia with China, with the Makassar people as well. Makassar people, I think it's pronounced. I have not yet eaten one, so maybe this is a chance to do that too. Your work is extraordinary and should be valued and elevated, irrespective of this inaugural prize. But I'm so delighted this was the vehicle that we could use to do that. It really was terrific. Really was terrific last night. I do want to say that I think it reflects from the Chief Scientist in particular, across the government and the academy, really a thoughtful approach to how it is that we value First Nations science and position it in a thoughtful way. That is a really valuable contribution. It's not an afterthought. It's not just a sort of gesture. It's been a really thoughtful, long-term thinking about how it is that we make this really work. That is of real value for Australia in reconciliation terms, I think, to elevate this in a way that makes Australians stop and think and value something that really we should value. I agree absolutely with everything that Professor Jagadish said about teachers and the role of teachers and how important they are. Paula Taylor, recipient of the Prime Minister's Prize for Excellence in Science Teaching in Primary Schools, building confidence for students of all abilities, all backgrounds. The ACT is a very diverse community. It's not just the sort of Kingston Parliament Manuka triangle. It's a really interesting and diverse community, and positioning science for those kids in the way that you do is an exemplar for teachers everywhere. It makes a real difference here, but I think awarding this prize to you will make teachers across the country think about how they teach science and how they build confidence in students across the board, shaping the future of STEM education in Australia. As I said last night, I was particularly excited that Matthew Dodds was the recipient of the Prime Minister's Prize for Excellence in Science Teaching in Secondary Schools. You know, it's no small thing for a kid from Glen Innes to turn up the Science Awards and see one of the science teachers from their school, you know, getting that award. Really is a wonderful thing. I can tell you that that my department was in a bit of a tiz about, you know, is there some, you know, sort of governance question that we need to manage here? So I can tell you that all of the sort of boxes were ticked and I's dotted and T's crossed to ensure that it was a remote from me process. I was delighted when it was brought to my desk that Matthew had won that award because you know, these country schools, they need science teachers who bring this to life for kids, who are passionate about kids and science. And if you saw the video last night, which I saw for the first time, three for me. One, it was Glen Innes. Got to see my old classroom. I wasn't as good a student then as I pretend I was now. But I remember, you know, the teachers who inspired me. Graham Muldoon, who still tutoring kids, I understand, which is pretty special, really. He'd be a pretty old bloke now, Graham Muldoon, who was my chemistry teacher then. There was a kid with curly hair in there who I faintly recognised. It turns out it's the daughter of an old friend of mine from school. So pretty special seeing your old school country town there. Secondly, anything with rockets in it has got my immediate attention. If I'm put in charge of anything at any point, we'll legalise fireworks again. Don't you worry about that. All of the medical people in the room just pretend I never said that. But thirdly, just looking at the progress with all the smiling faces of those girls in those classes is just so wonderful, mate. Like, absolutely terrific. And whatever you're doing, we should bottle it and bring it to the country. I want to see more girls. I want to see more boys. I want to see, but you know, we want to see girls in STEM, girls in science. It's going to make such a difference. So just so proud of that. Professor Yao Zhang work on the development of new technologies to produce clean hydrogen from seawater. I remember when I was first coming to these issues as we were in opposition, elected in 2019, it was one of my first questions, why can't we just make hydrogen out of seawater? Nobody had a good answer. You have got a good answer. I'm very keen to follow that up. The Malcolm McIntosh Prize for Physical Scientist of the Year. I should have acknowledged as well Stuart Garth, the highly commended for the secondary teachers. David Curry, the recipient of the Frank Fenner Prize for Life Science, pioneering statistical and modelling approaches to addressing critical questions. I still haven't quite got the stud finder reference quite right for Nicolesh Bapu's technology. We'll have to give it a go. We'll get you to bring it up to the office, I think, and see how healthy I really am. You know, together, I think that group says so much, doesn't it, about where Australian science is at, and how much we ought to celebrate it and elevate it. Doesn't mean we get away from some of the tough questions about how we support it, how we direct it, and all of the big policy questions for government. But it starts first, doesn't it, with saying to Australians what we do here is really important. I do note that in this year's prizes, 2 out of the 8 prizes went to Australian women scientists. So I just say to the science community, to all of you who are nominating people, give that some thought. Give that some thought. It says so many great things about Australian science. Let's just make sure we keep our eyes on that as well. Lots of nominations. I'm told nominations opened yesterday. They close on the 18th of December, which is my birthday, of all things. Look, I really just wanted to say I was so deeply appreciative of the work that everybody did to make last night a great success. I'm deeply appreciative of the work that the Academy of Sciences does too. I'm absolutely committed as the Minister for Science and Minister for Industry to play my role here on behalf of the government. I feel that sense of responsibility, a very challenging period, acutely, and I look forward to working with you all for the years to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Minister. That was wonderful, and this may be your first time in the building, but certainly we hope it won't be the last. Don't be a stranger. Okay, please stay with us now as we individually recognise this year's recipients. It's my great honour to present the certificates for the 2025 Prime Minister's Prizes for Science. Firstly, the 2025 recipient of the Prime Minister's Prize for Science and Fellow of the Australian Academy of Science is Distinguished Professor Moravska from the Queensland University of Technology. So, Lydia has been recognised for redefining air pollution science and reshaping policy advice to vastly improve how the world mitigates pollution risk. Congratulations, Lydia. Well, the next prize is one of our new ones, and it's the inaugural Prime Minister's Prize for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Knowledge Systems Prize. And the inaugural recipient of this award is Professor Michael Weir from Tidal Moon. So Michael has been recognised for using knowledge of saltwater country, culture and science to found an Indigenous export business, restore cultural heritage and revitalise marine biodiversity with local, national and international impact. Congratulations, Michael. The next prize is the 2025 Prime Minister's Prize for Innovation. This year, the prize was awarded to Dr. Vikram Sharma from Quintessence Labs Proprietary Limited. Vikram has been recognised for world-leading Australian research in quantum cybersecurity and the translation of cutting-edge science into advanced products and solutions. Vikram and I go back quite a long way to the Department of Physics at ANU, and I'm delighted to see him win this award. Congratulations, Vikram. The next prize is the Malcolm McIntosh Prize for Physical Scientist of the Year. Please welcome the 2025 recipient, Professor Yao Yung from the University of Adelaide. Yao has been recognised for creating a method to generate ultra-pure hydrogen directly from untreated seawater via electrolysis. Congratulations, Yao. I would now like to call the recipient of the 2025 Frank Fenner Prize for Life Scientist of the Year to the stage to accept their award, Dr. David Khoury from the Kirby Institute at University of New South Wales, Sydney. David has been recognised for his discoveries that contributed to malaria drug development and COVID-19 monkeypox vaccine policy. Big congratulations, David. The next prize is the 2025 Prize for New Innovators. And this year the recipient is Dr. Nikhilesh Bapu from Vein Tech. Nikhilesh has been recognised for developing ultrasound-based technology to improve peripheral intravenous access and addressing inequities in cardiovascular care. Congratulations, Nikhilesh. Okay, well, we now move on to the 2025 Prime Minister's Prizes for Excellence in Science Teaching, and this is something that's very important and very close to many of our hearts. The recipient of the Prize for Excellence in Science Teaching in Primary Schools is Mrs. Paula Taylor from the ACT Education Directorate. Paula has been recognised for striving to engage students through well-designed, problem-centred and hands-on lessons and supporting STEM educators. Congratulations, Paula. And I'd like to thank all you teachers for all you do to inspire the next generation of scientists. Your role is so critical to our future. And now on to the Prime Minister's Prize for Excellence in Science Teaching in Secondary Schools. Firstly, we have a highly commended teacher to recognise in this category today. Please join me in congratulating Mr. Stuart Garth from Redeemer Baptist School. Congratulations on your achievement, Stuart. Now for the 2025 Prime Minister's Prize for Excellence in Science Teaching in Secondary Schools. And please welcome the recipient, Mr. Matthew Dodds from, well, you all know where he's from, the Glen Innes High School. Matthew has been recognised for being a public and rural education advocate while developing unique and meaningful STEM learning experiences for his students. Congratulations, Matthew, and thank you for all you do to shepherd these curious minds through our education system. And personally, knowing Matthew, he has a connection with many of us through our Centre of Excellence, Ausgrav, and in other avenues, and again, very delighted to see you win this award. Thank you, Minister and President Jagadish, and congratulations once again to the recipients. Let's give them a final round of applause. So, on behalf of the Department of Industry, Science and Resources, I would like to draw your attention once again to nominations for the 2026 Prime Minister's Prizes for Science. I know we keep mentioning it, but it's really important. We're not going to be able to recognise our people, our science educators, our innovators, our research scientists, unless we put them forward for that recognition. Nominating a scientist, innovator or teacher for the prizes acknowledges their contribution to science, innovation and teaching. It's vitally important that we nominate, and not only nominate, but draw candidates from a great diversity of the rich population we have in Australia. Nominations for the 2026 Prime Minister's Prizes for Science are now open, as you've heard from the Minister, and they will close next month on the 18th of December. Well, this now brings us to the end of the formalities, the celebration. We invite all the prize recipients to please meet in the main foyer for a group photo. I do not know whether the rain has conveniently stopped for you to go outside and do it, but you'll be organised. Thank you all for being here to celebrate with us this morning. It's a wonderful occasion. And thank you also to our online audience. I now invite you all to enjoy breakfast being served in the Jaeger room. Thank you.